Okay, apparently I'm live, but I want to make sure. And it should say I'm live now. Yep. Right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I was debating whether to make this profile because it's very similar to the Time Lord one I made because of the Ghost Reapers, but I've realised that the deck itself is different enough for me to make it my own in a sense. Basically, the Time Lords have had their Ghost Reapers stripped out of them because I realised it made the consistency lower, and I've thrown it into a deck that really needed something to add to its own consistency, and I think Ghost Reapers have done that quite well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the deck. So immediately we're running the free Ghost Reaper because you can't have a Ghost Reaper deck based on Ghost Reapering your opponent without running free Ghost Reaper. It just makes sense. Next we're going to go into Cato Bella Pass, Familiar of the Evil Eye. I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce this fucking beginning part of his name, I don't know. Basically, this dude, reason I'm running free is the sheer fact of there's a very important equip spell, and that card negates your opponent from targeting and destroying said equip spell, so always good to run free of him for that reason. Plus, he can special summon himself from the grave, so always a bonus. Next, we're running free Basilisk. Reason we're running free Basilisk is the sheer fact of he's easily special summonable from hand, and he sends a spell or trap to grave, which means if you either normal summon Medusa or lose your Eye of Selene, you have some stuff in your grave to target. So Medusa would add it back to hand, and if your equip spell gets destroyed, it can banish a spell or trap from your graveyard to bring itself back to the field after you pay 1,000 life points. So the equip spell can always come back if you run free of him as well. Next, we're running free Serziel of the Evil Eye. Reason that this Serziel looks different, if I bring it up closer, is the fact that it's a proxy. For some reason, this deck, which I'm enjoying it, don't get me wrong, but it's not exactly competitive viable. For some reason, it is very, very short printed Serziel, which means each copy is about 20 quid at this moment, and yikes. Basically, it's your main card of this deck. It searches out any Evil Eye card where it's summoned, and that's the main one you want to equip with your equip spell because it has a really good effect if it's equipped with the equip spell, which is basically target one special summon monster your opponent controls and destroy it. And it's a quick effect, which means you can use it during either player's turn. And because of the effect of the equip spell, which we'll get into later, it makes him more powerful every time you use it. It's really good. Next, we're running free Medusa. I brought her up earlier. That would be the end of the monsters might we add. But Medusa is basically, hey, I've got spell and traps in the grave that are Evil Eye. Well, I can add it to hand while I normal summon. So yeah, it's quite nice. The reason I'm running free Ghost Reaper is because, as I said, it weren't consistent. Like, you could never really get a monster. Because if you've got a Ghost Reaper in hand, yeah, you'll want to Ghost Reaper your opponent, don't get me wrong, but you might also, just set it in defense mode to protect yourself while you wait for an actual Evil Eye monster. Next, we have two Evil Eye Awakening, because it's basically a really good free special summon, and you can't complain with that. Basically, if you have no or don't have the equip spell face up, you can special summon an Evil Eye from your hand. But if you do have a equip spell on the field, the particular one might we add, not any, you can special summon from your main deck, which is really good, like really good. So yeah, running two of those for that reason. Next, we have free Pot of Duality because Evil Eye Awakening, yeah, you do get a free special summon off of that, but 9 times out of 10 you're just normal summoning. So Pot of Duality actually doesn't really affect you badly, and it's always good to look at the top 3 cards of your deck to see if you can get to a Serziel, or if you can get to a Ghost Reaper if you know your opponent's going to do some proper annoying plays next turn. You know, it's always good to see what the top 3 cards of your deck are. Next, I'm running one instant fusion. Reason being, I have an instant fusion target, which is also a Ghost Reaper target against one of my mates. So it's really good. It's really good to run at least one instant fusion for that. Next, I have two terraforming because the field spell is very important, and we'll go into that next. Evil Eye Domain, the field spell. You're running 3 copies because basically When you activate this field spell, you can search an Evil Eye monster to your hand. I can't think of any reason not to run it at 3 for that reason, because again, the main consistency issue, in my opinion, is how often you get the monsters. You need to get to the Evil Eye monsters as much as possible, so 3 of the field spell helps that entirely. Next, we're going to be running 3 Evil Eye of Selene, which is the equip spell. This is one I've been talking about this entire time. This particular equip spell basically is required to get the best effects out of your cards. So, like, if you have 3 Selene, you can now use Awakening to special summon from deck. There's a couple of traps in here that are also Evil Eye cards that are better with the Selene. All your monsters can, like, 2 of your monsters have quick effects if they're equipped with Selene, and one of the Link monsters I'll be going into later also benefits from Selene. Next, we're running 1 Evil Eye Repose for our continuous spell. Reason we're running 1 Repose is it's a really good target to send to grave to be able to bring back Selene or whatnot. Because, to be honest, you never really use it. I mean, you can, but I never really use it personally. Next, we're running 3 Evil Eye Defeat. It sounds dumb, but it's really good to run at 3. Reason being is with Evil Eye Defeat, you're able to just go, lol, I send 2 of your cards back to your hand. Because if you got Selene equipped, you could target 2 cards your opponent controls and add them back to hand. And with one of the continuous traps I'm running, which we'll get into at the very last of the main deck, it's beautiful. Next, we're running 1 compulsory evacuation device. Reason being is it just sends your opponent's monster back to your hand. Again, really good together for that reason, because there's a particular card that really annoys the opponent. So I ain't gonna complain. We're running 2 Evil Eye Retribution. I personally would run 3, but at the moment I've only got 2, and if I do run a third, I might take out the compulsory for it. Because Evil Eye Retribution is really good. It's basically a negation of a spell or a trap, and if Selene's on the field, it can't be negated. It's really good. Next we have 1 continuous trap of Evil Eye Mesmerism. Reason we're running 1 Mesmerism is the sheer fact of it's good if you can pull it off, but there's a good amount of times you can't pull it off, and even if you can, it's not the best move in the world. So I've run 1, so if I do want to pull it off, I can. And also, it's a really good, again, target to send, so I can bring back my equip spell. So it's really good. And then 3 Summon Limit. That is the card why Defeat and Compulse is really good in this deck, because you flip Summon Limit, because you're only summoning 1 or 2 yourself per turn, and then your opponent goes into their 2 summons for that turn because they're limited to it, and then you just Evil Eye Defeat them both back to hand, or you compulse like a really powerful card that they've brought out due to their 2 summonings, and you compulse it back to their hand. So Summon Limit is really good in this, really good. Now we're going into the extra deck, which is full of targets and other cards. We're running 1000 Eye Restrict. One good thing about that is that's my instant fusion target. Always go into that. It's a really good card. So go into with your instant fusion plus with another card in there. Not too bad. I'm running Crystal Wing as a target because my opponent is a really good target to always have. 1 Blue Eye Spirit because Blue Eyes. I mean, I only have 1 friend who plays Blue Eyes, but again, you can run your own targets. Like I said in the Time Lord video, just because these are my targets doesn't mean they should be your targets. I'm mostly doing targets around my friends and everyone I play around. But if you've got friends who play, I don't know, like if you've got a friend that plays like stupid, like I don't know, I genuinely don't know, but like you can target anything. So just put it around whatever you want to target. 1 Nova because I've got a couple of friends. I've got couple of friends who play Cyber Dragons, and also there's a couple of decks that my friends could add Infinity to quite easily, but I don't know if they ever will. So it's always good to run 1 Nova just in case. Hope Harbinger. You kind of want to be able to activate your spell, especially with your equipped spell. So it's always good to be able to get rid of Hope Harbinger. So keep that in there. Linkuriboh. Reason I'm running that is A, it's a decent target, and B, with my 1000 Eye Restrict coming out of Instant Fusion, I bring out 1000 Eyes. 1000 Eye takes my opponent's monster, and then I link it away into Linkuriboh. Not a bad play. 1 Baylinks, because in my opinion, this is all you really need to get rid of with Salamangrates because it's like their main combo piece. We're running one Kagari, one Shizuku, and one Hayate. Reason being of running all three of these Sky Striker ones is just so your opponent has basically nothing. Most they could go into if you activate all three of your Ghost Reapers is they could probably go into Kaina, but that's the best they can do for a while. So you could just rid your opponent of their entire Sky Striker plays. It's kind of stupid. And then we're running the two Orcust links. We're running this one and this one. That way, if you ever run into Orcust, lol, no. And then last one isn't actually a target, it's the free Evil Eye links. Reason we're running that is the sheer fact of it's actually quite nice to go into them. If it's link summoned with a monster with 2,600 or more attack, which with the equip spell your monsters can get to there, because I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but if a monster that's equipped with the equip spell activates its effect, you lose 500 life points and the monster equipped to gains 500 attack. Also, if you activate an Evil Eye spell or trap, the exact same thing happens, 500 life points, 500 attack. If you get a monster with 2,600 attack, which with Surgial, you only really need to use it twice to be able to get to that attack. If one of its links is that, it gets 2 attacks per battle phase, plus it can also be equipped with Isoline, which is really good for it because its effect when it's equipped with Isoline is it gets a quick effect popping any card once per turn. So you could pop any card your opponent controls during either turn once per that turn. It's really good for that. And as I said, it can also be equipped with Isoline, which means you take 500, it gains 500. So it's constantly gaining its own attack up, and it's got multiple attacks. Actually, a really good card. And yeah, you're running summon limits, so it's a bit difficult to go into him sometimes. And same with Plot Duality. But if you can pull it off, he's not a bad card to go into, to be fair. He gives your opponent a link marker, unfortunately, but with all the Ghost Reapering that you're doing as well, it doesn't really matter because you're probably getting rid of what your opponent's going to go into anyway. So I quite like it. That was my Evil Eye deck profile. I traded my Light Swarms for this, so I'm hoping it's a somewhat decent profile. As I said, I want to get another Retribution, which I think my mate has one still, so I might trade it off him. And then, yeah, other than that, this deck is basically 100% complete. I'm enjoying it. I really am. I've got a few side deck cards. I call it my side deck, but in reality it's just a ton of targets that my mates might have. So like Red Eyes, Dark Magician, Azure Eyes, Super Heavy, and then a bunch of like dumb cards that I might run occasionally. This isn't a proper side deck, so obviously it's more than 15, but it's just a ton of cards that I'm thinking, do I ever want to play this? Do I ever want to play that? You know, it's just a ton of cards. I don't know if you saw that properly, actually. There you go. So it's just a ton of cards that, yeah, I could play, but I'm not 100% sure if I want to right now. Reason I was running the Upstart and the Call by the Graves and the Pot of Desires is because, as I said, consistency. I was trying to up it. But I think with the Ghost Reapers and all the traps that annoy my opponent either way, whether I have an Evil Eye or not, it don't really matter too much. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. I have been Frodo Knife of Team Thunder Edge Armor, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one, guys.